When we started dance party again, and we're doing 3 hour sets, I decided to go full frontal, not literally, but metaphorically speaking, as in the DJ setup.
I fancy a mix. What I'll do, I'll stream on Facebook, but I won't bother, picking up my dirty pants.
Yeah. Hello, everybody. I'm DJ Wongy from Dance Party 247. You also have DJ T and DJ Envy. Today we've got a topical subject. So, what's your thoughts on what's been going on in your mind today, Envy?
To start with, I want to start on DJs that have been DJing in their kitchens, in their bedrooms. Basically, DJs who have only been DJing since we got locked down in March.
Right. Yeah.
So just a general chit chat about that, because we know there was a bit of controversy over people DJing in their kitchens. There was a few posts that went up from various people about this, so I thought we would just cover this as well. I mean, it's something we haven't really covered, so I thought we could just do this and just see where the conversation takes us. Well, we know to start with that DJ T technically is not a kitchen DJ, but we know he did DJ in his kitchen
at one time. Yes,
at one time due to space problems, wasn't it?
That's it, wasn't it?
That was the biggest issue.
I've always DJed in my kitchen for the last 15 years, because that's where I've got my setup. You say my kitchen, it's wife's in the background saying it's her kitchen. I accommodated one quarter of the kitchen, speaker up on the wall that way, the deck's there, the deck stand, and you would basically, I'll be facing the wall, so you wouldn't actually see the kitchen as such. You'd just see him from a side angle onwards.
Yeah.
So that was what I was for 15 years. When we started dance party again, and we're doing 3 hour sets, I decided to go full frontal, not literally, but metaphorically speaking, as in the DJ setup.
And can I stop you there? Right, I want to put a big shout out to DJ T's wife for the giggling in the background. That was perfectly timed.
And obviously have a head-on shot, which involved obviously make sure that everything is okay, it's tidy enough and everything behind it. That took me a couple of hours to set up and clean the kitchen and do all that setup. So I had this little room under the stairs, a literal little, I'll call it the boiler room because it gets hot in here, but it's just a little cupboard under the stairs that I've now manipulated to be a studio as such, so I can just walk in and it's there set up and I can go. So I am a kitchen DJ, but I've gigged, I've worked, I would catch myself as I can hold my own as a DJ. But just because you're in a kitchen, is that the label that you give to somebody who's an inferior, amateur, newbie? Because that's what quite a lot of social comments were indicating. It was a derogatory sense, wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah, I mean,
but then again, you had a Fatboy Slim do his from his kitchen, didn't you?
You did. And the thing about the whole kitchen DJ thing, it does make me giggle a little bit because if you go back a few years, I was a working DJ, right? Not so much now, obviously, circumstances. I left the industry for a while and I've come back. But I was out gigging and earning money and doing various radio stations. And if I'd have had my setup in the kitchen, does that mean I'm not a good DJ? I was getting paid for work, which makes me a professional DJ. Now, does that mean I'm not a professional because I had my setup in my kitchen?
Well, that's a controversial question, isn't it? Like,
well, this is what I'm asking you. Do you think because I had my setup in my kitchen, if I had my setup in my kitchen, does that make me not a professional, even though I was getting paid for gigs?
What I would say is that the term bedroom DJ, which kitchen DJs probably come as a derivative, it's like dance music, isn't it? You have house, then you have deep house, and then you have bassline house. I mean, it's a subgenre of a genre of a genre of a genre.
And uplifting house.
But the overall sort of term is, if you were saying that somebody who is not a professional DJ, you would in a derogatory sense, class them as a bedroom DJ. In other words, they're not out and about earning money as a professional. The kitchen DJs come as a derogative of that because more people have
Yeah, of
probably done
course.
it in their kitchens now than they have in their bedroom. Bedroom indicates a young teenager, I suppose, of sorts that is a newbie, maybe got a controller because that's a cheapest entry point to get into the DJ industry. Downloaded a load of tunes, maybe even got them from YouTube, all that kind of stuff that is all derogatory. But everyone has to start somewhere. I mean, you're not
Yeah.
going to have a studio. You can, well, I'm not going to go out and earn any money until I've got a studio professional set up at home that I'm not even going to stream to anybody. We're talking about streaming here as well. So where
Yeah.
are you going to practice? Where are you going to learn your trade? It's either in your
Yeah.
bedroom, your kitchen, garage, or somewhere where you're going to have a little studio set up ready for you to play your tunes. You've got to start somewhere, haven't you?
Yeah.
No, definitely. And I think the thing with lockdown is a lot of people who are not DJs who were currently out of work due to being furloughed and things like that
Yeah.
jumped on the bandwagon. And I'm not having a pop at these people at all. But what I am saying is they're not DJs and they were DJing from their kitchens, from their living rooms. And, you know, they didn't have a proper setup. They were going out buying DDJ 400s and 200s and little controllers like that, Newmark party mixes. And then they were streaming. Now, I'm not being funny. If you've got a controller, you shouldn't make a mistake, should you? Let's be honest. You shouldn't, because it does it all for you.
Depends if you use a controller like using like decks. Yeah, like, you know, if you're pitching.
No, but you're on 99% of the controllers you can press sync.
Yeah. Yeah,
and it does it for you.
This is my point. See, if you're using your controller as if like you're using proper decks, yeah, then yes, there is like marginal room for error because you're not digitally syncing. But this is where a lot of these so-called DJs, yeah, and I say so-called DJs, they come in from beginning lockdown, got the controllers. Oh, here's a sync button that makes life easy, and now I can DJ. Doesn't work like that, though, does it?
Well, unfortunately, it does now.
It does because it does. But if they were to like start getting like a bit of a name for themselves, and then they would put out on the circuit, could they DJ like they do on their controller when they're using separates?
Yes, because you have a sync button.
Yeah.
On a Nexus kit, you have sync.
Okay.
Yes, they could.
I would say that the technology is putting a new person that's beginning to learn to DJ in a position where they can mix a couple of tunes, and it sounds like they have a level of skill that traditionally you'd have had to have earned on vinyl and or CD. That's the technology for you. That's the world we live in now. Okay, great. But that's not the be all and end all. You obviously got your phrasing. You've got learning your music in terms of when you drop it or you wanted to cut it up. Yeah. The programming of the music as well, the genre, and are you going to take people on a journey? All that usual kind of stuff that, you know, DJs talk about. But are you going to put a set together that people are going to enjoy? Yeah, what's your outcome? That kind of comes from here to a degree. That's basically appreciation of music that's what's gone in the past and experience. And also, if you are being a live DJ, that is easy because you can actually see how people react to what you're playing or not reacting to what you're playing. So I do apologise for lack of continuity. My earphones are buggered apparently, but
that was nicely subtly done.
Yeah. The putting a set together, appreciation of music, that to me that makes you more of a DJ than the technology. What's put in front of you? If you can actually mix, great. If the technology mixes, no one really cares in terms of on the listening experience, except other DJs. We're probably going to get our heads over that. I think the main point of those who sort of publicly shouted out about new DJs, I don't think it was a technology. I don't think it was a fact that the derogatory term of being in your kitchen or being a bedroom DJ. I think it was the abuse of social media streaming that then was upset for those that have been more established and were getting away with still using a service that they shouldn't have been using themselves either, to be fair.
Yeah, no, of course. I think the thing is, but even though that particular social media platform, which is Facebook, I'm going to name it because there's no point talking about this otherwise. They didn't actually do what they said they were going to do, did they?
It was all
Or
big,
what was being said.
Yeah, it was just it was a big scare, wasn't it? And some people have moved
Nothing's
off the
changed.
platform, and some people have just stayed the same. But nothing's changed.
No, definitely.
At all.
I mean, for me, I think it doesn't matter where you DJ, as especially at the current time we're in. I mean, what other options do people have? Some people who have been DJing for years, they still don't have studios.
No.
They still don't have dedicated rooms for their equipment. They are just set up in their kitchen area or in their living room. There are DJs out there like that.
Yeah.
I tell you what, another one is I can't remember which guy it is. It's one of the three guys, the smaller, thinner guy from Above and Beyond. Although he's got a real nice apartment and he's got a real nice deck set up and it's a nice plush apartment. It's still his living room. There's an open plan with a kitchen in the background. Yeah. He's multi-millionaire, sold millions of records around the world, and he's got the best kit available to him, except for the 3000s because that was before the 3000s came out. But anyway, best kit available to him, and he's in his living room, dining, open area, kitchen. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't. I think the thing is that with kitchen DJs, we'll use that term because I think it fits really well, is the fact of DJs who weren't DJs before now think they're DJs. They've never done radio in their life. They've gone out, bought a controller, and now they think they're EZ and Carl Cox and Fatboy Slim and Tiesto and the list goes on, doesn't it? I think that is the main issue with some people moaning about it. I mean, even we had a little sort of, not a whinge about it, but we did mention it in a previous podcast, didn't we?
Yes,
about kitchen DJs and how it looks unprofessional.
Yeah, I mean, I would say
that's the problem.
There's a couple of things before you'd even. Okay, I'm talking in hindsight. So, but in terms of if you were getting guidance, if you had a mentor, and that's another subject from another website. That basically, you have to be able to stream. You have to have a mentor, but we won't go. I think we mentioned that in another podcast.
Yes,
but if you're getting sound advice from somebody who's already doing what you're wanting to do, then you try and make whatever circumstance you have, your background, your setup, as professional as possible. So all the clutter out the way. Or if it's in your bedroom, then you're going to move all your clothes and put them at least out of screen so it looks presentable. If you're in a kitchen, you're going to wash all your dishes. You're going to make sure everything's tidy and all that kind of stuff. If you've got kids around, there's no clutter. You're going to make yourself look as best as you can visually. But before you get to that point, you should be of a standard that you should be pretty reasonable and confident to be able to stream, because you stream it to one person, you could be streaming to 1,000 people. Yeah. You're putting yourself across, and you need to be of a standard that's going to uphold or enhance those other DJs that have been around longer or before you. Because if you're not, somebody comes across you and think, well, look at all these DJs are not very good. And what does that do to the other DJs who are good? It gives you a bad impression. So same with mobiles. People don't appreciate how much time and effort that goes into doing a setup. But if you've got somebody as a 20-year-old kid or a 55-year-old adult, doesn't matter. As long as you're new to music and you want to come in and undercut somebody, do a gig for 100 quid, rock up with your laptop and iTunes, which has happened many times.
Oh yeah.
How can you justify paying 300-400 quid for somebody else who's got all the equipment and the experience to rock a party correctly, and you'd have a better time? It's difficult.
I think that's the problem, isn't it? The biggest problem is, I think, when I first come back on the scene during lockdown, even though I was a DJ before, various radio stations, Shime FM, Fat Beats, UKG Soldiers, Sunrise, Force, and I think even though I'd left the scene for 12 years?
12
yeah. And I've come back. I didn't have my my house set up as a studio. I didn't. To start with, I had a side-on view. I was going through my phone. I didn't have everything I needed. I didn't even have a set of CD decks because I sold them years ago. So I was just mixing on vinyl. I had a side-on camera. It was stuck to my curtain pole. And it it looks all right. I mean, it wasn't a studio setup.
Yeah.
Now I have a mini studio set up in my living room. I've commandeered a quarter of my living room, and I've got a proper setup. It's done properly. I've got green screens. I've got all the gear. Proper front on view. Everything's been done now. But for the DJs that have just gone out and bought a bit of equipment, a little controller, they're never going to do that, are they? Because they're not taking it seriously. They're doing it for a bit of fun. That's the difference between a proper DJ.
Even these new age DJs, you know, like that come along, like, you know, they initially they think they're taking it seriously, but like in the grand scheme, what they perceive as being professional is like you say, dump it on the kitchen side, just get a string going, and off you go. You know, that's 21st century DJing, isn't it?
Yeah,
I did see a stream a few weeks ago, and it did make me laugh. And the geezer hadn't even washed up. There was dirty washing up. His wife's knickers were on the side.
I'm sorry about that.
And I tell you what, I'll be honest, I was cringing at it. I just thought, how can you portray yourself as a DJ or as someone who streams and who loves music and wants people to watch him? I mean, he probably only had people watching him because his wife's knickers were sitting on the side.
Yeah,
but
they were there for the DJ, after for the show.
Well, I don't know, that they could have been his knickers. I'm not sure. You know, but I think that's the problem, isn't it? That's the problem with kitchen DJs. Yeah. It's the lack of respect.
But you also get that with bedroom DJs as well, don't you? You know, they set it up. Right, they set their equipment up on the sideboard. They've got a camera in front of them, which is on the wall facing behind, like say showing behind. And what can you see? You can see to one side an unmade bed. You can see like a wardrobe up there with like half their bits and pieces in. Nobody wants to see that.
Hang on. Can I just? That sounds very familiar, Mr. Wongy.
No, I'm just saying in general.
Okay, again, you try and make the best of it as you can. I mean, if you can actually mix properly, if you're a DJ who, you know, unfortunately is not able to actually go out and earn a living at the moment, then you may have never ever envisaged actually streaming from home, your bedroom, from home. You wouldn't have done, because it was your setup so you could practice before you went out and played. Some DJs that we know, they even give some of their kit away because they didn't have time to practice in the week because they're gigging 4 or 5 days a week, and therefore they just the new tunes they just slot it into the set, listened to it a couple of times, and just did it on the fly. They had no time to prepare, or I need to have I've got itch to have a mix. They wouldn't have time to that. It'd be like, I don't want to know. That completely turned around, obviously, under the pandemic situation, whereby here in the UK, all clubs are still closed. And anywhere that does have live music is going to be played at low volume, and it's all seating. So they now have the opportunity to mix. They need to keep their skills. They need to keep ahead of, in terms of on top of the music, and therefore they're left in circumstances if they, well, I might as well stream because that's closer to the next best thing than practicing on your own.
I mean, a good example is Mr. Gok Wong, who we spoke about the other day, Chi.
Yeah,
I was impressed with him. Yeah.
I never knew he was a DJ until lockdown when he started streaming. The man streams from his kitchen.
Yeah,
he's got an open plan. He's got a nice kitchen, and he's got a nice kitchen, and he's got a Nexus set up. Right, you can't knock him, but he's doing it from his kitchen. The geezer's a millionaire, and he's streaming from his kitchen. This is so. Why does it matter where you're streaming from, as long as it's clean and tidy? And you ain't got kids running around in the background. You ain't got your dogs barking. You ain't got a pile of washing ups. Your missus' dirty underwear sitting on the side. I do apologise if you do watch this and you are the guy I'm talking about. I do apologise, but I had to mention it. I just think as long as it's done professionally, you don't swear. I mean, we don't like smoking, drinking, and swearing on camera. That's a big no-no for us. That's drinking alcohol for people who don't know. But you watch other DJs on some of these streaming sites on Facebook, because they have dedicated pages. They're smoking, they're drinking, they're swearing, and they got dirty clothes on the floor. I mean, to me, that's not really DJing, is it? That's like, well, I fancy a mix. What I'll do, I'll stream on Facebook, but I won't bother, picking up my dirty pants. Yeah. Or I won't bother having a bit of respect and not swear and not drink and not smoke.
It's like getting the itch, and you say, "Oh, I've got a couple of mates here. Come, man, we'll just have a little party." Look,
the biggest one that got me, it weren't even the underwear. It was, I was watching a guy who was smoking a joint.
Right. Yeah.
He was smoking a joint while streaming, and I just thought, well, each their own. Not my sort of thing, but the guy was smoking a joint, and I just thought, well, what kind of message does that send to other to people? What other DJs do? We're all potheads and crackheads, and you're out there popping pills and sniffing coke and stuff like that. That's not what DJing's about.
Well,
that's the party side of it. When you're going out raving, that's the difference.
That's the other side of the decks, isn't it? Yeah, and you can't. You as much as the DJs and it's portrayed on media and films and everything like that, that kind of lends itself to a DJ lifestyle. Some DJs have done that. Some DJs have not been totally sober when they have been at their height, but they have put years and years and years, and it's almost going into auto drive in terms of what they're doing. What I will suggest heavily is that, one, to be a good DJ, you need to know about the history of music. You need to know a bit about history of DJing. You need to do your homework, because that will stand you in good stead and make you a good DJ. It's all peripheral things. There's one site I would recommend everybody to go to and look through the absolute thousands of vast catalogue of videos that guy has got.
I wonder who this could be.
It's the DJ Tutor, because he's got everything, every aspect of DJing is covered. It is there in terms of how to present yourself, how to put a mix together, how to do drills to be able to mix on vinyl or on CD. So you've got those skills that you can then put to a controller. So if you've got a controller and you say, I don't want to use all the tech, I want to do it so I can show my skills off, then you've got those skills there. So I'd recommend djtutor.com, or you'll find him on the internet under the DJ Tutor on YouTube. Absolutely.
No, definitely. And I just think, for all these kitchen DJs, because I'm not going to call them bedroom DJs. I'm going to call them the lockdown DJs. That's what I'm going to call them, lockdown DJs, because as soon as everything goes back to normal, these people will disappear. They will disappear, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
They will, because they won't have to, unlike us who dedicate X amount of time every day to promoting, recruiting, and just general practicing and music and DJing. These people will go back to work, and they'll just be like, well, I ain't got time for that now.
Yeah, if you're lucky, you'll see them at a weekend.
Well, no, if we're lucky, we won't see them at a weekend.
Well, just an example, to put a set together, it takes me longer to put a set together than actually to play the set. Simple as that.
Yeah. I was gonna get to sets and that. You can't put a set together unless you know how to mix. Let's be honest.
That's right. Yeah.
To put a proper set together, you need to know how to be able to mix, because this weekend I didn't put a set together. I don't know if you noticed, but I didn't. And all I done, I loaded all my mainstream dance and some electro onto USB drives. But I know the tunes. Yeah. So instead of going, what am I going to play? I could just skip through, go, right, I need that one now, I need that one. Yeah, because I've spent the time over the years learning about music, learning about all the stuff that comes with it. Where if you got someone who's been doing it since lockdown, a few months, they're not going to be able to just go, right, I need that, and that on the move, are they? They're not going to be able to do that because they're not going to know their tunes.
Also, as well, how big and deep a music collection do they have? I mean, okay, I'm on CD at the moment, but if I go onto the digital on the computer on the hard drive, then I got 50,000 tracks on there to choose from. It's basically a collection of 15 years of DJing, and obviously in the different environments. But it's there's a lot of tunes there. You're thinking, right, I'm going to do an old school set. I'm going to do a modern set. It's not just about the modern tunes. It's about maybe find that particular remix that's 5-6 years old. If it's there, if you've got the history of it, it's not just about current now and pop remixes or commercial stuff. It's like, do you know your genres? Do you know your history of music? Because that will make that, to me, makes every DJ that I respect or look up to has been around either a long time or is appreciative of what's gone on before them, and that's probably why they're so good as they are. No shadow of a doubt.
It's all right. You don't have to look up to me, T. It's fine, mate.
Well, I look up to everybody. I'm only short. I'm only 5'6".
No, but definitely, I think the new DJ thing will once we get back to some sort of normality, when everything's open again, these kitchen DJs, these lockdown DJs, they'll all be gone. They'll disappear.
Well,
I do think that's what will happen.
I had the use of the internet and I studied, but in reality, in most cases, if you're learning to DJ, you learn to DJ with a friend or somebody who already is a DJ, or at some point you will do that in your journey to enhance your skill level,
ability.
Yeah, and I've DJed with other DJs and I've studied them. Even when I've gone out and obviously been a little worse for wear, I've studied the DJ and what they're doing. I can't switch that off. That is
that's what I was going to say. As a DJ yourself, if you've been in the industry for quite a while, if you anywhere you go, and if there's a DJ there, you naturally hear, where the average person will just hear music and they hear one go to another. But as a DJ, you will naturally hear the change, the drop, the little cuts in and out. So you can't not hear that.
It's impossible. It's impossible to ignore it. And even when you've had a few bevies, and you're completely smashed, you still hear the tunes coming in and going out. You'll hear that little beat drop. You might hear a harmonic come in. You might hear a hi-hat come in. And you know it ain't part of that tune.
Yeah.
But as a normal person, before I started mixing, I could tell when one tune started, one tune, next tune ended. Of course you can. You got to be pretty stupid not to, ain't you?
Yeah. But it's the fine things in between that makes it.
I was about to say it's the bits in between before that next tune comes in that if you don't mix, you wouldn't have a clue. You wouldn't know.
No. The thing is, to be fair, and in most cases, it's not difficult to do because house music, for example, is a 4/4 beat. Assuming you're playing many tracks at 128 or 130, for example, every 30 seconds is going to be a major change. Every 16 or 32 beats is going to be a change, and you can hear it. You think, okay, there's a drop. Okay, now there's going to be, and that's because that's how I DJ. That's how most DJs DJ. Yeah. They actually bring it in the sequence of the format of the music. So because that's how we know how instinctively when we're dancing, when we're off our proverbial, I won't say parts of our body, but we're off our heads. That sounds better. That you just know when there's a build-up coming, you can sense the build-up, you can sense the drop. Obviously, you have risers and drums and everything like that. And obviously, that's a great point where a typical DJ would mix in and mix out. But a lot of DJs nowadays with EDM, they don't mix.
They just drop it.
They just drop it. There's no need to mix. It's just press play and bang across when there's a drop or when there's a break.
Yeah,
I think.
Go
on, Mommy.
For me, EDM DJs that's a fine line because like you like as a 21st century lockdown DJ, you can come in, get a load of EDM music and do it. Yeah, right. You sync because you're timing right. You get your timing of your beats right, your BPM. Right, so you can sync it that way and just do your drops. But I don't think that makes you a really good DJ because big something in, drop it over, bang, there it goes. It only makes you as good as far as like if you can be continuous with your music. Yeah.
I tell you what, a good example would be if they had EDM back in the day on vinyl, it wouldn't be these new DJs would not be around.
No.
They would not be around.
You'd have to be an experienced DJ in order to play EDM 15 years ago.
But that comes down to the fact comes down to, are you a DJ because you are skill based, as in you can mix some vinyl and CD and you know your history of music, or
You're welcome.
does a DJ constitute as basically having no experience, can come in, can drop some tunes, put a set together, and rock a party?
I tell you what, talking about rocking parties and putting a set together and new DJs, do you know what? One thing I think all new DJs need to do, and I've done it in the past, and I see a thing on Facebook in Brixton, in London. If you're watching this anywhere else, this is in Brixton, London, and they've just started open deck sessions again.
Okay.
Now, when I first started, I started doing open deck sessions to get a bit of
experience.
Not because my mixing was bad or anything. I could mix and I could mix seamlessly, but it was to learn. It wasn't even confidence, but it's to learn to read the crowd.
Yes, 100%.
That's what I used it to learn to read the crowd. So if you've got, say for instance, you start your set after someone else, you're not the first one on, and they've already brought it up to here. Well, in order to keep that going, you've got to go to there, or you've got to go higher.
That's it.
So, and that's where you learn to read the crowds, when you're not the first one on, because you've got to then maintain that level.
To me,
also reading crowds is like when you say you're a third or halfway into your set, and you start playing certain tracks, you know, and it's like it might be a bit plain or mundane or something, you know, and then you'll see, you know, if you have it, that's if you're lucky enough to have a crowd in front of you. You'll see like it gets the energy level gets lower. So you read that crowd, yeah. Then you up your game. Then your next track on will have a bit more kick in it, yeah, a bit more.
But these new DJs that are lockdown DJs, they've never had that. They've never experienced that.
No.
They've never had, you know, the biggest crowd I played to was 1,000 people roughly, and if you can get 1,000 people up dancing to stuff that you're doing. Sorry, I mean, and keep that nice level through your whole set. You know, that's an experience you can't replicate doing online.
Well,
you might have people messaging in going, "Yeah, I'm dancing in my kitchen," but that's not the same as seeing these people.
No. To have the actual atmosphere in front of you is something totally different, and the feeling is out of this world. There's nothing that can give you a better feeling than the natural feeling of like dropping a really good tune and watching the floor jump
and everyone going nuts.
Yeah. There's no better feeling than that.
The difference to me from what you just talked about, and I've never really gave it enough thought, because obviously we are trying to run a station and recruit DJs and do setups, and then I have a Friday where I just go through pretty much do my music, set my setup to do it on a Saturday. And so I haven't really given this so much thought, but I would summarize that those who are new to DJing and who have started maybe in a lockdown period, or just starting now, or thinking about to start, you're going to go off and you're going to DJ. You're doing the active DJing, playing 2 tunes back to back, even if you don't mix them, and you're DJing. And I've done that at parties before today, my uncle's wedding. I've just put tapes and CDs on and, you know, played the music for the room in a house. And if it was a bit of a mixing deck there, I would probably be doing some sort of mix or cross or drop or whatever. But I just did it on a CD out, CD in. Simple, wax on, wax off kind of thing. You're playing music, aren't you? And there's different types of DJ. Yeah. We call radio host DJs and everything like that. And they press a button and the track comes on. So there's all sorts of variations of what DJing. But I'm saying you're doing the act of DJing. The difference to me, and it is only my opinion, that when you can call yourself a DJ.
Sorry, guys, I had an itch here.
When to me, for you to call yourself a DJ is when you've gone out and you've DJed to a crowd and they've responded well, and you can go back out, and if you're getting paid for it, great, and you come back and you get a second gig, and you are now a DJ. You are the DJ. You're not DJing. There's a difference. Anyone can DJ, but to be a DJ is somebody that can do it well and repeat it in a live environment, because that's what it's about. It's not about streaming. It's not about doing it at home. That's all practice for the real thing, which is go out there in front of a real life crowd, rock the party, be good about yourself, be good for the other people, Yes, earn some money in the process and go out and do it for the next weekend and the weekend after and maybe build a career out of it. You're now a DJ.
Yeah, definitely. I just think with the current situation, all these DJs that are lockdown DJs are never going to have that opportunity.
No, but again, they're at the beginning of their journey. So if they're streaming, put it this way, those who are streaming should be of a decent quality in terms of being professional, in terms of their background and backdrops and how they present themselves and the quality of what they're playing in terms of music. Great. Doesn't mean that those people cannot go out and rock a crowd and make a living, or even just go out and do it for real and would do really, really well. There's a difference between those who basically can and can't. I've seen it time and time again. People are really comfortable in a setting, and all of a sudden something comes up in a real life situation, and they panic. We had one of those who thought he was the best thing since sliced bread as a DJ, and Kay came upstairs, and he had to eat humble pie to get one of us to help him out with a setting in the room. I'll say no more than that. But that's the difference between somebody who is a DJ and actually is a DJ, in terms of they don't let things get on top of them. They rise to the occasion.
I used to play out every Saturday in Enfield for about 4 years. I had a residency there, and to hold a residency for 4 years, that's quite tough, because you've got to be on top of your game. And this is back when CD decks had only really just been released, and they weren't what we know CD and multimedia players as. They were the long thin thing, and you had the little jog wheel, and so everything was done on vinyl.
That's back in the day when you had to wind up your gramophone, wasn't it, Envy?
That's the one, mate. Yeah. So to hold a residency for 4 years, is tough, isn't it?
Yeah,
it is tough.
Because you have to keep reinventing yourself. You have to. Being a DJ, you have to be on the cusp of what's current at any one time, because you're not playing.
Hold it. No, they've got to be for some DJs. You have to be waiting for that. You have to that next big thing. That's what you need.
Yeah,
that next big thing. It is, isn't it? Just for the people who listen, it's a personal joke between us three.
I mean,
it's global, isn't it?
I mean,
well, yeah. Global's good. And I don't know if you want to wrap this up now or not. But I just wanted to say on this podcast, welcome to Half Jack. He's the new DJ on the station, and he is playing live Monday, 4 till 6, I believe.
Okay. 6 till 8.
So I didn't set the guy up, so
6 till 8.
Yeah, Half Jacked Mondays 6 to 8. Welcome, Half Jacked.
Yeah, welcome.
Well, thank you for locking into the Dance Party 247 podcast. Don't forget to like, subscribe, click the notification bell for when we release new podcasts and any updates in regards to Dance Party. See you next time, guys. Bye-bye.
Ta-da.